Is Luffy really the sun god Nika, or is he missing something crucial? Fans are starting to doubt if Gear 5 lives up to the hype. What if there's a Gear 6 that truly unlocks his full, mind-bending potential? Stick around to find out. What else does Luffy need to become the true Nika? Could there be a Gear 6? From a seemingly mid-tier devil fruit, Luffy transformed into the wielder of the most overpowered ability in the entire series, not carrying the legendary fame of the sun god Nika. However, fans are starting to feel a bit let down because the power he's shown doesn't quite live up to that divine status. This indicates that our main character hasn't truly mastered the sun god's power yet. He's far from Joe Boy and incredibly distant from the official Nika version of thousands of years ago. So, what exactly is Monkey D? Luffy's still missing to completely master that ultimate power. Let's dive in with Otaku Wave Hub to uncover it in this video. First up, infinite stamina. Theoretically, a zone fruit can double its user's physical capabilities. Ancient zones provide a tenfold boost, mythical zones hundreds of times, and top-tier zones like Nika offer a boost of thousands of times. That Luffy hasn't quite demonstrated that level of stamina. He was knocked around by Kaido multiple times, and even though he won, he was left unconscious. He then went on to lose to Kizaru, and while saying lose might trigger some of you, it's the truth. Both were utterly exhausted, but Luffy ended up on oxygen and Roman 4 fluids, while Kizaru still had enough energy to bring him food. If that were a true death match between two enemies, our main character would have been laid to rest, and One Piece would have already changed its protagonist. Just think about it. A top-tier mythical zone losing an endurance battle to a Logia user. It's just too hard to accept. This reminds me of his past gear uses, which all suffered from stamina reduction. Gear 2 shortened his lifespan and drained his energy. Gear 3 shrank his body. Gear 4 was even more devastating, leaving him completely unable to fight for 10 minutes, making even movement impossible. Interestingly, not long after, he managed to overcome all the weaknesses of these gears. And the same will likely happen with Gear 5. Once he masters it, Luffy's stamina could become virtually infinite, allowing him to fight freely for extended periods without needing to pause mid-battle to find food. Imagine if Wano didn't have Caribou hiding food, or an automatic food dispenser, he would have been done for. If he's truly the god of freedom, energy could manifest in unexpected ways. For example, by transforming into plants and absorbing sunlight itself. From this infinite energy source, he could not only maintain the Nika state for an incredibly long time, but also use it to recover from critical injuries. After all, the recovery speed of mythical zones is already phenomenal. Oh, and I almost forgot, in One Piece, there are plenty of characters who maintain their zone forms for so long that no one ever sees their true faces, like the newspaper Chief Morgans and Vice Admiral Dalmatian. Of course, a top-tier fruit like Nika requires more to maintain, but it's certainly not impossible. However, this brings up a tricky problem. If Luffy maintains the Nika state, does he have to keep laughing all the time? He'd either die of exhaustion, get his face stuck, or even get arrested by the world government for looking like he's high on laughing gas. That's exactly what we'll discuss next. Controlling emotions and the power of laughter. One of the most frustrating things for viewers is that Luffy in his Gear 5 form always laughs innocently and isn't serious during combat. At first, it seemed cool, but after seeing Sentomaru get impaled while Luffy easily recalled all the SSG, it wasn't fun anymore. Some fans even expressed anger, saying that from now on, they wouldn't see the cool, badass version of Luffy like when he fought Doflamingo or Kaido. I honestly don't know what Oda's intentions are, but if he keeps this side effect of Gear 5, the number of disappointed fans will only grow. Instead, laughing at the right time and place, and being cool when needed, would create a far more positive effect. As the saying goes, a laugh is worth 10 doses of medicine, but also, laugh in the wrong place, and you'll lose your teeth. Having said that, laughter is the symbolic image of Nika, so it definitely cannot be removed. Instead, here are a few potential solutions. First, it's perfectly fine for him to laugh and joke around normally. But when a critical phase of the battle begins, Luffy should change that uncontrolled laughter into a cool grin or even a condescending smirk. Second, there could be other Nika states besides the laughing Nika, such as Nika of Wrath, serious Nika, arrogant Nika, and so on. After all, the people of Elbaf have always passed down 2 different versions of Nika, so adding a few more versions certainly wouldn't be a problem. Personally, I'm most looking forward to the Nika of Wrath version. Just imagine how terrifying someone who is always cheerful and laughing would be when they get angry. Just thinking about it makes it sound incredibly cool. Next, sharing Nika's power with allies. One of the key abilities possessed by the Revolutionary Army is Bilo Betty's Kabu Kabu no Mai, which turns its user into a cheerleading captain, boosting the will and combat power of those around them. This is very suitable for uprisings where the fighting force is mostly civilians. Interestingly, it's linked to the legend of the sun god Nika. If the Revolutionary Army helps civilians, then God Nika is even greater because the group he targets are slaves. The level of exploitation both endure is completely different. So, if the will of the common people to rise up is zero for slaves, it might even be negative. Just look at Hancock. Despite her strength and arrogance, she still felt intimidated when talking about the celestial dragons, let alone other slaves. Therefore, to make them stand up and fight, to awaken their fighting spirit, a power even more terrifying than the Kabu Kabu no Mai is needed. Nothing would be better than the sun god's drums of liberation. Like the Golden City's bells, Luffy's heartbeat will be the drums that boost the slave's power. However, it wouldn't stop at just cheering or a slight physical boost. When Nika spreads to others, it will bring much more peak power than Bilo Betty's ability. The first thing I thought of is the power of the Gamu Gamu no Mai. If Luffy could grant others rubber powers, it would solve the most pressing problem: the number of casualties. This is because a rubber body is flexible, countering bullets and physical impacts. If all slaves had such a body, the death toll in battle would be minimized. Of course, they could only use basic rubber abilities. If everyone could transform into Gear 2, 3, or 4, the world government and marines would be utterly defeated. Not only that, but when warriors under Nika are injured, he could also use the power of his smile to accelerate their recovery. Similar to the effect of his own fru. For a normal slave, that amount of recovery might only help them avoid meeting the Grim Reaper. But for prominent pirates, boosting their physical capabilities like a zone fru is like giving a tiger wings or sushi with soy sauce. Finally, Nika also emits some mysterious energy that directly affects machines. Similar to the EMS in Iked, Luffy seemed to accidentally unleash it. If there are more robots later on, it would be difficult for him to charge them all. It sounds confusing, but it's pretty similar to robots using solar energy, folks. Definitely more powerful than using gasoline. Most wildly, some fans even consider the possibility of Luffy sharing his white-haired form with all allies, similar to having two sun gods in Elbaf, but that would be too overpowered. If Nika's population exploded like that, it would lose the essence of Nika. So, I think the cases mentioned above are the most acceptable, guys. Not limited by human imagination, Nika is the epitome of absolute freedom. The more imaginative the user, the more overwhelming Nika's power will be. Luffy has long been compared to Denjiro by fans for his daydreaming. However, what he has created with the Nika Devil Fruit so far is still quite ordinary. It cannot be called beyond imagination. Some instances we can mention are when he turned into a giant, chomping. Our Luffy created an elastic slingshot to fight Kizaru recently. After seeing Gabin wield an axe, he immediately pulled out an axe from his imagination and started swinging it. Clearly, to date, the only thing that impressed us was Luffy transforming his body into a giant and grabbing lightning during the Onigashima battle. However, it still wasn't anything uniquely strange or spectacular. In other words, his creative imagination is still limited by what is called the human mind. Just like rappers need to freestyle to boost creativity, Luffy needs some method to make his mind even more unhinged. This makes me think of his goofy form in the fight against Enel. Clearly, he has the ability to make his thoughts completely empty. From there, he can imagine greater things that no one else in the world could do. Some examples I've racked my brain to imagine include moving faster than light. Just thinking of a location would instantly put him there. Or he could assimilate himself into natural environments, transforming into mountains, rivers, even the ocean, and then freely use those elements to fight. The craziest idea is that he might even be able to manipulate time. He could rewind and fast-forward moments in a battle, just like that purple sweet potato, Thanos, with his time stone. And these are just 3 of many insane things Nika's power could do. So what about you guys? What level does your imagination reach? Let Otaku Wave Hub know in the comments below. Unlocking Gear 6. When Luffy awakened Gear 5, he called it the pinnacle of his power. However, beyond that peak, there could very well be an even higher one. Think about it, guys. Originally, that devil fruit was the Gamu Gamu no Mai, and later, it awakened into the Hyohido no Mai model, Nika. Clearly, these 2 abilities are like my child and the neighbor's kid. They have absolutely nothing to do with each other. So how does that fit the nature of an awakening? Instead, Daku Wave Hub thinks the current Nika form is just the initial form of that top-tier Hito Hito no Mai. Gear 6 is what would truly be its awakened form. Let's call it Gear 6 for simplicity, but in reality, it's a hybrid form, guys. Up until now, Luffy has either fought in his human form or his full Nika form. There's been no information about a hybrid form, which is said to be the most overpowered form of any zone. Even other mythical Hito Hito fruits, like Sengoku's Daibutsu form or the Golden Buddha, haven't had their hybrid forms clarified by Oda. Many say our author has created a plot hole regarding human-type zone fruits, but I believe he's cooking up an amazing, mind-blowing hybrid form for these Hito Hito fruits. By mastering that power, Luffy could bypass all current limitations of Nika, and who knows, he might even transform into a more beautiful form, just like Joe-Boy 800 years ago, or the Sun God version from the First World. Only then can our main character stand shoulder to shoulder with the powerhouses of the southern continent, sitting at the same table as other protagonists like Naruto, Ichigo, or Light Yagami. And that wraps up today's deep dive into Luffy's true potential. If you love breaking down these theories and want more One Piece insights, hit that like button and subscribe to Otaku Wave Hub. Your support helps us create more amazing content for you. Don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Let us know in the comments what your craziest Nika theories are. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.